Well, here we are in the up-and-coming London district of White City, and it's a big day for the White City community because today Amazon have chosen this spot to launch their third checkout-less advanced shopping format in the UK. So that's shop number 3, and basically the idea is customers can just walk right into the shop, pick up anything they want off the shelves and walk out without paying, without speaking to anyone, just walk straight back out. Now obviously this is exciting generally for retail, but it's of particular interest to the Drum because, as you might know, we are in the process of launching our own advanced shop of the future in London's Shoreditch, which is part of the Drum Labs. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by our key partners in Cornershop, who are Steve Hewitt, who works with Capgemini Invent, and Rob Hollins, who is the Managing Director of Sharpen, who've come down here, and we're going to go into Amazon Fresh. We're going to try and buy ourselves some lunch, see what happens, and really understand what this format is really going to mean to the UK retail community. And if I'm honest, perhaps also get one or two ideas of things we can maybe implement at our new corner shop when it opens in a few weeks' time. So let's meet up with Rob and Steve, and also get in there and get ourselves some lunch. Hi guys, well thanks for coming down. You're ready to go in and buy some lunch?
I am indeed.
So it's obviously quite a big deal. This is shop number 3 in the UK. They seem to be rolling these out at a real rate of knots now. You know, Steve, do you think this is going to really sort of start becoming a big feature in the UK high street generally?
I think it's a sign of what's to come. How quick, I guess, will determine on how smooth this experience is right now.
Yeah. And Rob, what are you hoping to find inside?
I'll be interested to see what tech they've got in there. I'm interested to see the experience side of things as well, because I think there's lots of kind of tech for tech's sake and all of that stuff, but I want to see how they're also layering in the experience around the products. It'll be quite interesting. I like it that they're putting these Amazon stores into the kind of fabric of life. You know, a lot of these launches, they do at big kind of destinations and things like that, but this is almost hidden away on a side street, isn't it? So interesting to see how they're doing that. Yeah,
it's definitely not as busy as some of their previous launches, but you do sense this is part of a community store, really, isn't it? There's lots of new flats being built around here, so maybe it's to sort of serve the residents. So shall we get inside, out the cold then?
Yep, apps out, gentlemen.
Great. Well, that's amazing. So shall we maybe go and have a little chat?
Sounds good.
Get the highlights. Well, that was good.
Yeah.
I did feel when we left the store without paying, I did have the urge to run all of a sudden. But I'm glad to say security have not followed us, so I think we're okay. I'm told that we're going to get an email of the receipt to find out exactly how much we paid.
Yeah.
Within 2 hours.
But in my excitement, I did buy quite a lot of random stuff, to be honest. A bottle of wine.
Wow.
I don't know if we should drink this now, but I just wanted to see how that worked in practice. And somebody did sort of ID me using a very sophisticated technique of just having a look at me and clocking a few grey hairs and wrinkles and deciding I was over 18.
Yeah, I'm hoping the technology works, otherwise I've got a big bill coming my way for a sandwich and an orange.
We were picking up a lot of stuff and putting it back down again, and it will be interesting to see if it can work out what on earth was going on. Well, for it's great to see Mindful Chef in there. What a great product that is, where you can sort of gives you the ingredients for a meal. Yeah. But you did pick that up about 10 times.
Yeah, you probably picked the most expensive product in the shop to test this with.
You know, the experience of going in was actually quite seamless. I had a bit of problem with my app, and I know you had as well, and I hadn't quite got it set up in terms of my...
I mean, I'd picked the wrong app, and then I forgot my Amazon password and had to reset it, so yeah, that was a little bit of a faff.
Yeah. But overall, I think it's seamless, isn't it? I mean, I think once people got used to making sure it's all set up properly, it's the easiest thing in the world just to walk into that store. Yeah. You're unimpeded, they've got an automatic entry barriers. You scan through it like going into the tube or something, and then when you're in, you're in.
from what they were saying, so when you look up to the ceiling, you can see, I mean, there's hundreds of cameras continuously as you kind of walk around. They're reasonably well disguised, actually, aren't they? If you notice, it doesn't feel like Big Brother. But essentially, from what they were telling us, the cameras are tracking you as you go through the store. They were really clear that it's not you as a person, it's your account. And then essentially all of the shelving in there are scales. So the moment you pick something up, it's recording that weight change and adding it to your basket. And then if you return the item, it obviously takes it back out.
Another interesting thing is if you go in as a family or a couple, you can actually go in with one app. And it'll recognise both people and follow that account round.
It's almost uncomfortable at first. It's almost uncomfortable, and you're right, the cameras are disguised, but I don't know, I found myself like looking up, looking around, and just very conscious of how is this thing working, and I think it made me quite aware of I'm being watched by technology like a hawk here. And I found that a little bit disquieting actually.
The other thing that struck me was how perfectly ordered the shop was. So in one sense that's quite nice, but on the other hand that added to a bit the discomfort because everything's so precise.
It's quite clinical, isn't it?
Clinical, and but there's probably a reason for that, isn't there, in terms of the everything has to be very precisely put into the shelves.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting on how that pans out as that shop gets busy, as customers come in and do what customers do and don't put stuff back where it should be, how they're going to stay on top of that and whether that introduces extra cost into the shop actually to operate. So whilst you might be taking away in some spaces, like no staff on a till, I have a suspicion that they're going to be adding back in cost there to keep those shelves as pristinely packed so that the technology works. Interesting though, they've not entirely removed the functional. I mean, still ultimately somebody in the alcohol section having to be a human being standing there doing human age verification. I mean, I think the technology is already there to age check people. I guess the interesting question on who's at fault when that goes wrong, is it the person using the technology, is it the technology provider? I think it's probably more about regulations and rules that are holding that back at the moment.
Also, it's quite interesting the type of stuff they're selling, because you'd assume it'd all be very packaged in multi-packs, but actually you can buy an individual banana.
There's plenty of loose produce around. I was surprised to see that actually. I thought that it would more be all in packs, like you say.
Hot food, hot drinks.
Yeah,
it's good.
An interesting mix, and obviously a lot of own brand. Amazon clearly making full use of the partnership that they've struck up over in America to put their products in that shop.
Yeah, it's also interesting. This is only their third shop, but it seems you do get a sense that behind this business is a giant entity. We did ask about logistics, and the Amazon team were suggesting that actually they're just using the existing resources. But it just goes to show you that the amount of resource Amazon have at its disposal.
And it would be interesting, where they take the technology that's sitting in this. Are they going to create a product to sell to other retailers from it? What's the cost of that? Are they subsidizing the profit and loss of that store just to get the technology in and through its paces? There's some big questions, I think, on a store that technologically advanced. How much does it cost to set up? How much does it cost to run? Do you actually reduce the operational cost, or do you just introduce it in new ways?
But how does it work in terms of, because as well as sort of the By Amazon, which is a new Amazon brand that I hadn't seen before, so it seems to cover fresh foods, but they've got partnerships with other retailers like Morrison's, and there's some Morrison's branded products in there. From a Morrison's point of view though, what is the value of that relationship? Do you not think this could be a bit of a Trojan horse?
I think a lot of people have speculated, is somebody going to get bought in the UK if Amazon really wants to drive grocery? Even if you're opening a store every month, every other month, that's a lot of stores, that's a lot of time to cover. The faster route to market will be to buy.
But I do sense this is actually important though. I do feel this is a bit of a watershed. Amazon Fresh coming in. I'm not quite sure where it's going to end up and how it's going to change the landscape, but I do feel this is significant.
It is like a switch goes on in your mind though, isn't it? Once you've had a frictionless experience like that, going to a till ever again, you know, no matter how uncomfortable it felt in that moment when we were going through it, something's clicked now in your head, and you know, it feels like you're walking back in time if you go to a till again. And I think that's going to catalyze everybody to really up their game and focus on how to get something similar.
How did it feel to you actually leaving? You filled your bags up and you just walk out. Was that a strange feeling, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was another uncomfortable moment, wasn't it? It's like, am I allowed to? Is this what? Am I right? Is that all I have to do? Just walk out?
I wondered if the barrier was going to let me out, because you come to this barrier and it opens and then you can go.
I did spend a few minutes watching other people leaving the store, and every single person is asking one of the assistants, like, do I just go? It's the common thing. That's an unnatural experience, isn't it?
I had this kind of like moment, you know, when you walk past customs when you get to an airport, and you're like, when I was walking past security, like, don't make eye contact, don't make eye contact. It felt weird.
You know, you guys are developing the Corner Shop project, which is part of the Drum Labs. But do you think there's any insights there for the likes of Corner Shop, or any experienced Corner Shop looking to replicate?
There are, I think, just some challenges with it from a user perspective. Like, I don't know if I've been charged the right amount. I don't know how much I've just spent. And the way you know, most of us shop, you know, you kind of mentally, you want to have that picture of what have I just spent? Because I'm not a human calculator. You know, I'm not going to add up products in my mind as I go. There's an aspiration of the level of seamlessness that, you know, we're already working to within Corner Shop, but I think it's almost a step too far too quick for me to fully put all of my trust there. I want to see like how much this has cost me.
I think it is, and intentionally, an underwhelming experience. It's not an exciting experience, is it? They're doing a proper
Functional.
It's a functional experience, and I think one of the things we're looking to do at Corner Shop is bring in the experience. We want this to be, whilst it's an amazing, innovative, tech-enabled space, a lot of our goal is actually how can we layer in experiences and make it a creative space as well. And Amazon are clearly all about frictionless efficiency and being a kind of grocery retailer. And I did think on some of them, you know, we talked with a couple of their staff around, you know, do they understand the wines? Are they being trained in, you know, what goes well, how to use the products and things? And they're obviously not. They're there in a kind of functional thing. And I think that would be one of the things that's perhaps missing.
You know, that's okay for a convenience-oriented mission. Like if that's what your store is about, and you know, I think that's okay. But that isn't the path that all stores will take. You know, many stores will need to have other things going on in there that are more experiential, that are more about, you know, coming together and meeting people and learning about stuff and exploring. And you're not going to get that from just Seamless alone. And that's pretty much what the focus of that store is.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, Steve, thank you very much. I think it's now, as my mum used to say, it's time to stop talking and start eating. We've got a bizarre selection of stuff here to get through. And so anyway, thanks once again.
It's really good. Great.
Cheers, Gordon. Pleasure as always.